All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update. Check out Pig and a Pickle. 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. All right, what is the story in Santa Clara? I'll tell you what the story is. Brock Purdy's playing on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm convinced of that. I just watched practice. He took all the first-team reps. He had not been taking the first team reps. He did. He was first in line in the individual drills. He ran with the ones in the brief amount of practice that we got a chance to see. Mac Jones ran with the twos. And I think Brock Purdy is going to wind up being the starting quarterback against Arizona. Also, no Trent Williams, no Christian McCaffrey. They were given their typical Wednesday Veterans Day off. Alfred Collins ran on a side field. He did not practice. He was limited, and he looked like he was doing conditioning on the side. Ricky Pearsall made his first practice appearance in 6 weeks. He's been battling the right PCL. He was limited. Expect him to go on Sunday against the Cardinals. D. Winters also was limited in practice, but he played. Tatum Bethune, to me, was not moving around real well. To me, he looked significantly limited. Maybe that was just the moments I caught him, but Bethune's taken a bunch of hits, and I think it's safe to say he's not 100% right now. Kyle Shanahan, we talked to him before practice. He was asked why, you brought Purdy back against Jacksonville, and it obviously wasn't the right time. Why is now the right time? What is your decision, to bring him back now based on? And Kyle said, it's based on what I've seen the last 6 weeks. So obviously, Kyle has seen some improvement. I asked Kyle, I said, what is Brock practicing like? How does he look as far as mobility and arm strength and accuracy? And he said that he's getting better. He's progressing. I'll say this. I trust my eyes over anything anybody ever tells me. And my eyes tell me that he looks sore. He's not necessarily moving like he normally does. He's not moving terrible. He seems to be maybe managing the pain. He looks kind of sore, but what I've really noticed is that the passes are no longer high. He's got his release point down, but there's just not a lot on it. I mean, a lot of the stuff he's throwing is kind of loopy. The short stuff still has some zip, but the intermediate, like the deep out, doesn't have a lot of zip. Like, I think Brock is going to, expect some corner routes where he can just kind of teardrop it to the void and let the receiver run to that spot. I think he's going to try to avoid trying to squeeze it into tight holes, whether it be a deep out or any of those deep cuts, those 15 to 20 yard cut routes, ins and outs. I think they're going to be difficult for him to squeeze it in there. And I'll be looking to see if Cardinal defenders get their hands on those footballs, because the ball is coming out a little loopy. I mean, he's dropping it in the bucket. It looks like it's getting to the sideline, but it's going down. He's not shooting it to the sideline. So that's what I'm seeing. Alfred Collins, as I said, ran on a side field. D. Winters looked limited. Kyle also told us that Purdy should have a good chance to play. So that is the story down here in Santa Clara. Brock Purdy's going to play, Ricky Pearsall is going to play, and we'll see how it all shakes out on Sunday. We should also tell you that 49er practice reports this season on the Krug Show are brought to you by our friends at Plank, the new 50,000 square foot entertainment eatery at Jack London Square in Oakland. The Plank just opened the Hub, a brand new sports viewing space. It's got a huge 30-foot media wall, over 70 televisions, great food, specialty cocktails. They've got bowling, bocce, arcade games, bunch of beers on tap. It's a really cool spot. Right now, Krug Show listeners get 15% off bowling, games, food, and non-alcoholic drinks through the end of November. Just mention that I sent you, and you get 15% off. It's also the perfect place to host holiday parties for friends, family, or your team at work. So check them out. Their website, plankoakland.com. Once again, that's plankoakland.com. And thanks to Plank for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk more about some of the other headlines on this Wednesday as the Niners prepare to go to Arizona to take on the Cardinals in a game that is suddenly looking kind of big. I mean, the 49ers, this is going to be a tough game. The Cardinals don't have their number, they're not healthy, but the 49ers have no ability to put any pressure on the quarterback. So, it's almost kind of like, both teams are not at full thrust, and we're going to find out who can do it on Sunday. Arizona is going to be without their two top wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. had an appendicitis surgery, so he's out. He's out this week for sure. He might be out for several weeks. And Zay Jones, their other receiver of note, tore his Achilles last Sunday against Seattle. So get ready for Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, a lot going to the tight end McBride, because they're down their top two receivers. Also, a third receiver, Simi Fehoko, went to the IR. So Arizona signed a wide receiver, Andy, it's an Italian named Baccellia, to the active roster, and they added Jalen Virgil to their practice squad. So they're adding receivers. In addition to that, Mac Wilson, their great inside linebacker, has got a rib injury. He's out this week. That's a major blow to the Cardinals' run D. Last week, Seattle ran for almost 200 yards on them. Game plan this week has to be a run-heavy game plan. One other note for the Cardinals, their defensive end / outside linebacker, Baron Browning, is in the concussion protocol. So his status for this game is unknown. So Arizona comes into this game far from 100%. This was a note from yesterday, but if you missed it, Asante Samuel, who the Niners worked out, signed with the Steelers. The Niners, if the season ended today, are officially the number 8 seed in the NFC playoffs, and there's only 7 seeds, so they wouldn't be in. The 1 is Philly, the 2 is Seattle, the 3 is Detroit, the 4 is Tampa, the 5 is the Rams, the 6 is the Bears, the 7 is the Packers, and the Niners would be on the outside looking in at number 8. The more I look at the schedule, the more I think that Niners-Bears game very well could be for the final playoff spot, especially whoever has the tiebreaker head-to-head there. That's a big game later on this year, Niners and Bears, here at Levi's. As we told you, Ricky Pearsall's back from the PCL. I didn't think Ricky looked that explosive today, but, he wasn't doing a lot early in practice. A lot of people have asked me, Krug, is Robert Saleh going to be a one and done with the Niners? And, it's easy to say, Robert Saleh is a really good coordinator, and yeah, it's likely that he's a one and done. But you know what? I don't know if I could say that. If you look at this, some of the other candidates out there, you've got Vance Joseph from Denver, you've got Jeff Hafley from Green Bay, you've got Jesse Minter with Harbaugh and the Chargers. You've got, those are just the defensive guys in addition to Saleh. Then there's Joe Brady from Buffalo, Matt Nagy from Kansas City, Arthur Smith, former Falcons head coach, who's the OC in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of talk that Mike McCarthy wants to get back in the game. There's talk that guys like the guy from Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, and Steve Sarkisian from Texas, and Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame, that these guys may be hot head coaching candidates. So to say for sure Robert Saleh's, going to be gone in 1 year, I don't think it's for sure by any stretch. I would say it's probably likely that it takes him another year before he gets another opportunity. That would be my guess, but that's just a guess. Couple of the last things I want to throw out here. One, I brought up this yesterday with Raj, roster changes I'd like to see made. I'd like to see Brendel out, Hennessy in, Bourne out, Jordan Watkins in, Burford out, Ben Barch in, Givens out, CJ West in, Gifford out, Nick Martin in, Jair Brown out, Marquise Siegel in. So I don't know if the Niners are going to make any of those changes, but that's what I'd like to see. I want to go with younger, faster, better players than what they have right now. As far as point differential, I think it's interesting looking at the point differential in the NFL. The best teams in the NFL, if you just say who's got the best record, okay, that's one way, but everybody plays a different schedule. Point differential sometimes is a better measuring stick. Top 5 teams in the NFL, point differential wise: Indy plus 115, Seattle plus 103, Rams plus 98, Lions plus 83, KC plus 76. New England is next at plus 73. So that's the top 6. The 49ers are 17th at minus 10. And if you look at the bottom teams in the league, the worst teams, point differential. Worst team and the 5 worst teams. Tennessee is the very worst, minus 127. Then New Orleans, minus 95. Then the Bengals, minus 84. The Raiders, minus 81. And the Browns, minus 65. The Niners, as I said, 17th in the NFL, pretty much mid-pack, minus 10. That kind of tells you, I think, where the 49ers actually are. I think point differential in a lot of ways is defining. If you said to me, where do you think the 49ers sit right now in the NFL? I'd say about mid-pack, 15, 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. And sure enough, they're minus 10 point differential, they're 17th. They're probably the 17th best team, based on all the injuries that have come down as well. I mean, that's a big part of why they're the 17th best team. Despite the fact I picked them and the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. We should tell you 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, that's going to do it for us. A little wrap on the Wednesday here in Santa Clara. Join me tonight at 6 o'clock on KMBR for Niners Nightly. The great Howard Balzer will be my guest, and we'll look ahead to the matchup. We'll talk a little bit about the future of Kyler Murray, the future of the Arizona Cardinals, the relationship between Jonathan Gannon and Amari DeMercado. We'll talk about Jacoby Brissett. And all the injuries at wide receiver and what we expect to see in this game coming up on Sunday. So check that out, Howard Balzer, later on The Sports Leader. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.